Welcome to the NPTE Final Frontier podcast, helping one student at a time. Visit NPTEFF.com to enroll today so you can pass tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us here on the NPTE Final Frontier podcast. My name is Emily.
And my name is David. Today, we will be discussing the importance of practice exams. Now, we both know that all of you fear those practice exams, but they are so valuable and so very important for you to be taking. Both of us have taken our fair share of practice exams when we were preparing for this exam, right, Emily?
Yes, 100%. Now, another main thing about practice exams that many people don't realize is that there's so many different and important, useful ways to use the information from practice exams. Some people think, hey, I'll just take the exam and check it off my list and move on to my next item of the day. But no, that's where you need to stop and realize there are so many more useful ways to use this information to help you succeed and pass on the big day.
That's for sure. And it's something that's very important, that it's not just practicing your content, but it's also practicing those testing strategies and testing your endurance. So this isn't just purely content. And the reason why you're doing it is also to give you that game day situation, give you that practice, which is exactly what these are. They are practice exams.
Now, another thing I always tell people is you already went through your curriculum in school. You passed. You were cleared to sit for this exam. So you know the information. But sometimes knowing the information isn't the challenge. It's being able to sit for the exam, analyze practice questions, and be able to determine the appropriate answer. And like David said, one of the best ways to practice that is with practice. And the more often you practice, the better results you will have.
That's for sure. You know, even this goes back to even sports or playing an instrument. In order to excel at that, you have to practice every day. You have to do it over and over and over again. Practice creates instinct. Just like Emily, she was an all-star soccer player. She was even recruited by Team USA. And
that is not correct information. Nobody think I was actually about to go that far with soccer, but David's not wrong. With these practice exams, you want to practice in the correct environment. So you want to make sure you're sitting for the entire exam at one time, trying to mimic the environment of your exam day. So taking the exam in a quiet area, not eating and drinking during it. You want to kind of practice how you play.
Totally. And I think that's something that's very important. Is also lose the phone. It's so easy to have your phone next to you when you're taking these practice exams. Leave them in the other room. Do not even carry it with you into that room that you are going to be taking that practice exam in. Leave it in the other room and hold yourself accountable.
Speaking of phones, David, you just reminded me when I would sit for practice exams, I would hide my phone somewhere in my house just so I didn't have the temptation to go look at it. Now, I just said I hid my own phone. So yes, I knew exactly where it was, but I would put it in the strangest spots, like under pillows or in cabinets, just so I would know, like, no, don't go look at your phone.
Yeah. And I know that was actually practice for those Where's Waldo books as well. Very, very handy.
Now we're talking all this about practice. So now the next question is, how many practice exams should you take? David, go off on that.
You know, with practice exams, I always suggest that you can never take too many. I personally try to take one once a week. And of course, that means that I had to review them. And you should always review them before you start another practice exam, because you don't want to go one into another. And then you just end up having a pile of rationales. So with practice exam wise, for myself, I did it once a week. And I think that you should definitely take as many as possible. Do not put them off. Right, Emily?
Yeah. Now with practice exams, one thing I tried to do was we talked about mimicking the environment. So when I would take a practice exam, I tried to take it around the same time that I was planning to take my official NPTE, simply to mimic getting used to taking an exam around that same time, get myself used to waking up, having the same similar breakfast, and sitting for the exams. And I did the exact same thing. I took one a week for about, I believe, the 8 or 9 weeks before. So I ended up taking around 8 or 9 full length exams, as well as some mini exams as well.
I think that's exactly the same thing that I did. Taking those exams exactly when that exam is scheduled. So huge. How did you go about reviewing your rationales?
So I think reviewing rationales is just as important as sitting for the exam itself. The main thing I did was I broke the questions down. So whether it was a 200 or a 250 question practice exam, I would review 50 questions a day each day before the exam. So that would take me about 4 to 5 days. I know some people try to get through them all in 1 or 2 days, but I really wanted to take as much information out of each question as I could. And by reviewing 50 questions, it would take me about an hour, hour and a half each day, depending on how many of those I got right or wrong. But it gave me quick recall on various topics each day, which I thought was very beneficial for learning retention and just to keep reviewing practice exam questions each day instead of just trying to fly through them. What did you do?
So for me, I tried to get done within 3 to 4 days after completing a practice exam. And for me, reading through them over and over, that wasn't really enough. So what I would do is I created PowerPoint presentations for my practice exams, just like I did similar aspects to the content. So what I would do is I would create a practice exam for the questions that I got wrong, but also the questions that I took a guess on. And now each slide, it would be exactly that question. It would be the rationale. And then on the other side of the slide or on the next slide, I would just try to go a little bit more into detail that you can't get out of that rationale. And I wouldn't try to spend too much time on it because, as everybody knows, you could spend hours and hours and hours reviewing rationales. And if you aren't able to move on from that rationale, from that practice exam, you can't take the next one.
Right,
Always very important.
exactly. Yeah. So I like that approach. What I did when I reviewed the questions is I didn't make more practice exams, but instead I kept adding the information that I realized I needed more practice on or more review on to my condensed notes that I had created from the other ways I was studying. So I kept just editing my notes, adding more information. If there was a specific topic I realized I hadn't reviewed in enough detail, I would add that to my list of topics to go and do a further review on. But you're right. I think a lot of people can get caught up in overly reviewing the questions. So they never end up having time to review or take another exam, which is just as, if not more important. So I definitely think setting a limit of 3 to 4 days or setting a time limit for the amount of questions you're going to review each day to help keep you on track is a really great way to stay on target.
And to keep you on track, you cannot put these practice exams off. I know a lot of students that we've all spoken to that are scared of the exams. They fear the exams. They don't want to do poorly on the exams. Those are all totally normal and very common, but you do need that practice. You do need to take these practice exams. You cannot put them off and just be because you're scared of it, because at some point that exam day, the exam day is going to be there. And no matter what, it's going to be there and you got to take it. So you need to get that practice exam in there while you can.
I completely agree. I think a lot of students, which I was the same way, get caught up in what the score was. And that's all they're focusing on instead of remembering, wait, this is practice. This is designed for me to learn from my experiences. And most people learn better by their failures. Those are the things that stick with them. So when you get a question right, or if you get it wrong, take it for what it's worth and learn from it. It's always good to kind of track your scores, monitor your progress. But at the end of the day, what's the most important thing about practice exams is getting that practice in, building your confidence and stamina, and just being able to learn from it for the big day. So after all of this talk about the importance of practice exams, I bet now you're wondering, all right, Where can I find some extra exams? So Final Frontier offers physical therapists full-length 250 question practice exams and physical therapy assistants full-length 200 question exams. With an 84% correlation to the actual NPTE, these exams align closely to your upcoming exam, especially since, as previously mentioned, they are full length, which is not always provided to you. We also offer 50 question mini exams for you to take when you want to do an exam, but you want it to be a little bit shorter in length. Once each exam is completed, we provide you with rationales for each question and textbook references, which have been carefully designed by the Final Frontier team. So Final Frontier is the only NPTE prep program that allows for 5 complete attempts at our practice exams, 12 months of unlimited access to these exams, and additional time if testing accommodations are needed.
Now that you understand the importance of practice exams, here is a quote. Don't limit your challenges. Challenge your limits. That's right, warriors. Don't limit your challenges. Challenge your limits. So stand up for yourself, stand up to these practice exams, and go get it. You are powerful. You are strong. You are a Final Frontier warrior. You will pass.
Thank you very much for listening. For more information on the NPTE Final Frontier, please visit npteff.com. You can also check out all of our social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Till next time, have a great day and a powerful tomorrow.